We maintain alignment down a shield back into Dragonite. They have Aurorus in the back. Things are looking rough. Aurorus in the 2 shield. Going to be pretty good against our Slash. Meteor Beam going to hit for heavy neutral damage. Sandslash tanks it on the chin. 2 shields up. Surely we're going to bait, but there's no bait on this channel. Welcome back to the home of Shadow Pokemon. PvP, if you're a fan of Shadow Pokemon, is a pretty exciting time right now. Numerous Shadow Pokemon this season got the buff, and we also have a Rocket event coming with more Shadow Pokemon. So if you're looking to see Pokemon like Shadow Garchomp, this is the place you can see it. However, today we're looking at my boy on the left, Shadow Alolan Sandslash. I did use this last season on Bulldoze, and I thought it was pretty good. So obviously we're going to test it out with this buff move of Drill Run. We're going with Shadow Dragonite Double Steel. Would I recommend this team? Possibly not. If you're going to run this team, I think something like Cobalion is probably better than Registeel, but we're going to run Triple Shadow. So without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we lead Shadow Dragonite into Virizion. A pretty neutral matchup, to be honest, depending on the moveset. If they've got Stone Edge, trust me, if you're using Shadow Dragonite, you absolutely want to be shielding that because you will be getting one shot and return to your Pokeball. However, the opponent say switched into Lapras, and I used the big Tin Can to come in and absorb all of this energy. We landed the Zap Cannon. I'm now going to commit to the aggressive lock-on farm down. Do we get it? Yes, we do. Despite my Registeel having absolutely garbage IVs, we survive on 1 HP and a Dream, which is perfect. That allows me to get off the Focus Blast and allow the opponent only 1 free double kit. The opponent sends out Wall Rain and we answer with Sandslash. This is a very dicey, bait-dependent matchup. The opponent builds to the Earthquake. I dare the opponent to throw it, and they go for the Master Bait in session. Sandslash shrugs that off, and unlike the opponent, I full send the Drill Run. The opponent correctly shields it up, and we're going to be spamming out Drill Runs. Drill Run, a pretty decent move. It hits for decent neutral damage. The opponent commits both shields. Again, they build up to the Earthquake. Knowing I've got Dragonite, they're thinking I have to start shielding. Well, trainer, I do not. The opponent baits me again. We land the Drill Run. Drill Run this time does land, getting them into the red. They switch out into Virizion, and I answer with Dragonite. I throw the Dragon Claw. As they reach the Stone Edge, Dragon Claw takes care of Virizion. Back out comes the Wall Rain. They can take me out if they want, and we're going to save 2 shields for next season. Much like the opening matchup, an Icicle Sphere, double super effective, would one-shot Dragonite and all its family from full health. Moving on to the next one. We lead Dragonite into Tapu Fini. Because I'm double weak to fighting in the back, I stay in because we resist the water guns, banking all the energy, and I attempt to catch the Moonblast. This trainer is not baiting. They full send the Moonblast. We catch it on Registeel and they pivot out into their own Regi. We're ahead in energy. I full send the Focus Blast. The opponent is also going Focus Blast. I am going to commit a shield here knowing I can win this matchup, and I don't really want Dragonite on Tapu Fini. The opponent lets go of the Focus Blast and I'm going straight for Focus Blast number 2. The opponent lets it go. We do flip switch. However, at the cost of a shield, the opponent's got Talonflame in the back, and again, this could be very bait dependent. The opponent not wanting to commit a shield takes me out with the Flame Charge. I'm going to send back out Dragonite, anticipating the opponent switching out. They actually throw an Incinerate, which allows me to get off a Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw goes unshielded. The opponent then pivots out into Tapu Fini, and here comes Sandslash. If you're wondering why I said this is going to get bait dependent, because even if I take out this Tapu Fini, I can't allow them to farm down my Sandslash, because then they could obviously Flame Charge, then Brave Bird. I throw the Drill Run. Drill Run does land. The opponent then gets farmed down. Sandslash is going to get off an Ice Punch. I throw 2 Shadow Claws, which is the correct fast move timing for 2 turn versus 5 turn. The opponent now manages to farm down. They're at 3 Incinerates. This could be a Brave Bird. I've only got 1 shield and fuck it, I'm going to call it. The opponent goes for the bait, and that's going to allow me to Dragon Breath farm down, and we take that game. Moving on to the next battle, yet another Tapu Fini lead. And as always, stay in school, kids. Learn to count. Can we get 2 for 2 on catches on the Moonblast? It takes this super annoying fairy 20 water guns to the Moonblast. This opponent was actually going for a little Master Bait in session, but Reggie soaks up this surf damage despite me having garbage IVs and being Shadow. The opponent throws the second surf. They're continuing to stay in, so it's time for the Zap Cannon. Zap Cannon will be pressuring a shield. The opponent obviously weak to Steel in the back. This is looking good for our Slash. I'm just going to allow Registeel to go down. One of the main reasons you don't really see Shadow Reggie is because lock-on still does absolutely no damage. This Tapu Fini is now still super healthy. We're going to come into Sandslash. We can tank 1 surf, although it is going to get us into around the 50% health range. I'm then going to overfarm, throw the Drill Run. Drill Run will be one-shotting from this range. We've got residual energy, good to go. Drill Run secures the knockout. The opponent comes in to Giratina, so they're very weak to Sandslash. I throw the Ice Punch. Ice Punch does land, getting Giratina into around the 50% health range. We're going to be serving up that Big Mac and the fries, the Wham Bam combo play. Dragon Claw doesn't quite knock out. I am going to commit a shield here. As my Dragonite is healthy, we're going to go for the 2 versus 1. The opponent's final Pokemon is Trevenant, and Dragon Breath tearing through the opponent. Once again, you're going to see that this banked energy on the Dragonite is going to help me win this game. So when you're on an ABB team, you do need to pivot at some stage. However, I always like to build up energy on my lead mon, because then it helps get rid of the counter for whatever they've got for steel. However, in this battle, we're just going to land the Dragon Claw, and we're going to be able to Dragon Breath down the remainder of the team. Big yikes. Walrus into Dragonite, a dominating lead for the opponent. We pivot into the Tin Can, and just like that, we draw out Swampert. So hopefully Sandslash looking pretty good in the end game. The opponent respects the Focus Blast. They build up to an Earthquake. I have no intentions of shielding this up. The opponent actually goes for the Master Bait, and Shadow Reggie tanks that on the chin again. This is just a Hydro Cannon. Reggie going to be tanking this and still getting off the Focus Blast. Focus Blast won't be one-shotting from this range, but is going to get him pretty low. The opponent commits both shields. Reggie deep in the red, looking to reach the Focus Blast. The opponent gets scared, dumping energy. Swampert has maintained alignment, however they have committed both shields and come into Dragonite. If you're wondering just how glassy Dragonite is, well there it is. Hydro Cannon is resistive, it still does a lot. We can tank one more Hydro Cannon. We're not going to get Mud Shot down, however the opponent's switch timer is up, so I'm constantly looking top right, anticipating the switch. The opponent doesn't go for the snipes. We throw the Dragon Claw on the CMP tie, and I'm going to be spamming out into Sandslash. The opponent's final Pokemon is Charizard. They build up to what could be a Blast Burn. I'm thinking about it last second. I commit a shield, and thank God as the opponent full sends. I continue to farm up energy, anticipating the opponent attempting to catch a double resisted Ice Punch on the Walrus, and this is going to allow me to spam out Drill Run. After Drill Run, the second one's going to land, getting them into the red. This is where you're going to see the buffed version of Sandslash a lot better than last season's, as Drill Run is a lot cheaper and a lot more energy efficient than the Bulldoze. The opponent built up to the Earthquake as they full sent the Blast Burn. I respected the Quake, and again the opponent full sent it. I now Shadow Claw farm them all the way down. Back out comes Charizard, and Sandslash is going to sweep the back line. The first Ice Punch gets them down to around 40% HP, and the second Ice Punch is going to be all she wrote. Moving on to the next one. Dragonite into Pidgeot. This opponent running Gust, which is actually worse for our Dragonite. As you can see, the Gust damage is tearing us apart. However, much like the Tapu Fini matchup, I always stay in. Look to catch the charge move. The opponent does stay in. As they're on Gust, it's really easy to throw in the middle. The opponent isn't going to catch this Focus Blast. Focus Blast does get a shield. The opponent banks the energy and then send out their own Reggie. The opponent already down one shield. I wouldn't bait anyway, so I full send the Focus Blast. It lands. Shadow Reggie hits like a truck. The opponent's Reggie now into the yellow. They throw immediately. And if I can take switch, I'm absolutely going to take it. The opponent baits me with the Zap Cannon. As the opponent switched in their own Reggie behind the energy and down a shield, I think they must be weak to steel in the back, so I pivot back out into my own Dragonite, land the Superpower. The opponent comes into Aggron, look for the Smackdown farm down. Dragonite says no, getting the final shield with the Superpower, sending my own Reggie. This Focus Blast, double super effective, going to be returning Aggron to its Pokeball, and it's just Pidgeot left. Reggie should pretty much be in Brave Bird range. The opponent full sends it. We do survive. The opponent gets the Gust farm down, but hi Pidgeot, meet your worst nightmare. We look to throw the BM Drill Run just because I absolutely hate Pidgeot because it's such a fucking annoying Pokemon. We do lose CMP. Brave Bird doesn't do anywhere near enough damage, and the BM Drill Run secures the dub. Moving on to the next one. Dragonite into Nidoqueen, a pretty neutral matchup. I look to catch the Poison Fang on Reggie. It used to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Fang. Apparently now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Fang. We do catch the opponent, sends out Scrafty, and I think this is going to be Nidoqueen, double dark with double counter. So probably I'm going to get absolutely beat the shit out of. Knowing the opponent is going to want to maintain alignment, I throw the Zap Cannon. The opponent does shield. The opponent then going to counter farm me all the way down, and we're sitting in a really tricky spot. People love to bait shadow Pokemon, so I call the power up punch bait. The opponent does go for the power up punch. I look to throw on CMP. I've got no idea why I didn't get my move off, but the opponent again throws the power up punch. So I over farm ever so slightly. You can see we are getting some frame drops, which is probably why I didn't manage to CMP. I take him out with a superpower, it's Obstagoon in the back, and that is going to be a concede as I just can't beat that team. Moving on to the next one. Another Tapu Fini in the lead. When you're going to see Pokemon using one-turn moves, I think people think that we don't count. So one-turn moves are probably the easiest to catch as people just spam them out as soon as they get it. We catch another Moonblast, the opponent then sends out Trevenant, and Shadow Reggie does a lot of damage with the resisted Zap Cannon. I think my Shadow Reggie's actually broken, as we didn't get the defense drop, this Shadow Ball is going to do a lot, and now they're going to be able to farm me down as I reach the next Zap Cannon. So we probably would have been able to force a shield, now we can't. Shadow Ball would do a lot, I am going to have to respect it. So we're now down a shield and we don't have switch. I'm going to over farm as much as possible and throw the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw will be securing the knockout. The opponent, of course, going to be sending back out Tapu Fini. As they're still really healthy, I'm going to throw the superpower, which is going to put them into drill run range. I send out Sandslash. The opponent continuing to stay in. We know we survive a surf. So I am going to no shield, however these one-turn water guns are really going to start adding up. The opponent continuing to stay in, so I'm going to start spamming out the Ice Punch. The first Ice Punch draws the Protect Shield. The opponent again stays in. I'm going to throw the next Ice Punch. The opponent commits that final shield. We can actually shield this up and farm down. What the heck is in the back? Why did the opponent shield this low health Tapu Fini? The opponent sends out Reggie and Drill Run, going to do a lot of damage. I'm actually thinking, should I catch the move on Dragonite? Switch timer does pop up, and I actually think, as the opponent is going to dump energy, the safer play is just going to be to allow Sandslash to go down. We're going to easily be able to outpace with the Dragonite. I over farm ever so slightly. Superpower from this range will be secure on the knockout. Back out comes Tapu Fini, and we're going to have to resisted Dragon Breath farm down. Moving on to the next one. We see Shadow on Shadow Prime, Shadow Charizard, really scary for the entire team, as I am pretty much shitting my pants as Dragon Claw nearly one-shots our Dragonite, and Blast Burn definitely one-shots the two Pokemon in the back. I usually like to pivot out into Registeel, however if I fail the catch, the opponent is going to be in a great spot, so I'm actually just going to two-shield through this thing. We got a shield, I can now Dragon Breath farm all the way down. You're going to see an instant pivot now into Reggie. The opponent sends out Wall Rain, and I think it's a pretty risky play, but I am going to spam out the Zap Cannon as soon as I do outpace the Wall Rain. Zap Cannon does draw the final shield. Again, we see no attack drop. RNG being an absolute bitch to me today. The opponent sends the Earthquake, even though they're not a Shadow, that does a lot of damage. They then bank the Icicle Sphere, hoping to catch my Dragonite sleeping. They then send out Giratina. Zap Cannon does land. This time getting the attack drop when we really don't need it. The opponent fires off the Dragon Claw. They then Shadow Claw, farm us down. However, we can come into Sandslash. And we should be sitting in a pretty good spot. The opponent goes for a Dragon Claw, which is really strange. Even if you've got Ancient Power, that's definitely the move to go for. I over farm enough so I can outpace the Wall Rain to an Earthquake. Ice Punch does secure the knockout. Back out comes Wall Rain. We land the Drill Run. Drill Run is going to put it into superpower range. I'm just going to stay and allow the opponent to throw the Earthquake. Ever since Wall Rain got its original nerf, they're unable to hold an Earthquake and an Icicle Sphere, so they're actually going to be one Powder Snow away. Even at 100, they would have lost CMP, and superpower secures the dub. Moving on to the next battle, we see Scrafty in the lead. This is where you want to see it, but what you don't want to see is all these frame drops. We miss a few Dragon Breaths. I am going to respect the potential foul play. The opponent full sends the foul play, and I'm going to CMP tie the opponent to the next move. Dragon Claw wouldn't be enough to knock out, so I full send the superpower. The opponent commits a shield. As I've lowered my own defense, foul play would secure the knockout. The opponent actually baits me with a power-up punch. The opponent then throws another power-up punch. Dragonite should survive, even though I'm debuffed, but what the heck, power-up punch looking like a good move. I look to farm down. We don't get it. We actually missed another Dragon Breath, which actually means I die with all that energy, which is absolutely brutal. However, I do get the lock-on farm down. The opponent sends out Giratina, so I bank that energy, pivot out into Sandslash, and it's Cresselia in the back. So despite me getting some frame drops in the opening matchup, our double steel backline should be in a pretty good spot. Cresselia can do absolutely nothing to Sandslash. Regardless of what moveset this Cresselia is on, Sandslash resists absolutely everything. We then get another bit of stutter lag and I'm thinking, is Niantic going to fuck me out of this victory? We land the drill run. We can survive any one move from this range. I'm then going to look to Shadow Claw farm them all the way down. We're now deep in the red. Sandslash commits and we get it. I'm going to pivot out into Reggie. In case you're wondering why I didn't throw the Ice Punch, I've had some stutter lag in this game. I was worried the opponent would snipe me with a Shadow Claw, so I think this is the safer play. This is now a super boring matchup. The opponent needs to be on Shadow Force to do any meaningful damage, and evidently they are not on it. Reggie can tank these moves for absolutely days. We just need to get him into Ice Punch range and hope the game doesn't lag me. If I'm honest, the opponent probably should top left. They actually now start throwing Dragon Claws. Interesting. The opponent can throw another charge move. We're going to make the Zap Cannon. Zap Cannon is easily going to put them into Ice Punch range. My Sandslash is super low, so you definitely don't want to go for the combo play here. You just need to allow the opponent to take you out. The opponent doesn't actually commit to the Shadow Claw farm down, even for a back-to-back move. Sandslash will win CMP. Do I get my move off? Yes, I do. And finally, the most boring matchup in the world is over. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see another Walrein in the lead. I instantly pivot into Reggie, and again I lag. You can see the Powder Snow did register on my Dragonite. I've got no idea why I'm lagging. I've got really good connection. I've got a pretty decent phone. It's an S22 Ultra. So why am I lagging? Niantic, fix your fucking game. My Registeel Safe Switch is met by a Charizard. However, the opponent let me get the Zap Cannon off first. We do get the attack drop. So despite me getting pretty tilted, we're in an alright spot. The opponent goes for the Dragon Claw. As we debuffed him, that doesn't knock out, allowing Registeel to make one final Zap Cannon. The opponent now down both shields. They're looking to wing attack farm down. The opponent gets scared, throwing another Dragon Claw. RNG this time doing me a huge favour. The opponent is double debuff now, so surely we can tank a Dragon Claw, but out, Shadow Dragonite, so glassy. I'm now going to be forced to shield up this next Dragon Claw, and I don't even think I can farm down, so despite the opponent committing 2 shields, I'm actually still having to give one back. I throw the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw does secure the knockout, and it's now time for Sandslash. The opponent sends out Jellicent. I really need this Sonic the Hedgehog looking fucker to put in a whole heap of work. I'm going to go straight Drill Run. Drill Run does land for decent damage. I absolutely can't shield anything, as Earthquake would be the move that would do more damage. The opponent lands the Shadow Ball. I then overfarm, throw the Drill Run. Drill Run will be securing the knockout. Back out comes Walrein, and the opponent just concedes. I actually think the opponent had a good chance of winning that game, but I'm going to take it. Moving on to the next one. Dragonite into Gliscor. I anticipate the opponent spamming out their Night Slash, so we catch on Reggie. Reggie is absolutely not a Gliscor counter. The opponent then counters us with a Cobalion. Cobalion is going to be pretty favourable in this matchup. However, Focus Blast is going to do a lot of damage, and I'm not baiting. I'm going to full send it. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. They near get one shot. The opponent looks to double kick farm down. They don't make it. Reggie flip switch. If Gliscor does return, we are going to get off the Zap Cannon. However, this is single resisted, and the opponent will then be able to wing attack farm us all the way down, which would be brutal. So I pivot back out into Dragonite, looking to force some shields off the opponent. The opponent does shield up the Dragon Claw. I know I survive one Night Slash. Night Slash does land. The opponent then pivots out into Giratina. The opponent marginally outpaces us to the charge move, but at this stage now, 2 sealed Sandslash is going to sweep. We allow our Dragonite to go down. We come into Sandslash, and the opponent concedes the match. I know everyone in the comment section is going to say, what do you do against Cobalion lead? So here's how you play it. We're going to overfarm. The opponent builds up to the Stone Edge, and as always, we're going to call it. This opponent full sends the Stone Edge, so I just concede. So usually I call the bait. I think 9 out of 10 trainers always bait. This opponent was not baiting. Moving on to the next one. Dragonite into Virizion. The opponent safe switches into Walrein, and I answer with Registeel. I really need alignment. I was hoping the opponent baited me. They did not. However, this Zap Cannon is going to one-shot, so I actually go for the undercharge. Is the undercharge good? No, I've undercharged it too much, like an absolute potato. So I am now going to be forced to shield up the next Earthquake. However, I am going to be able to lock on farm all the way down. And to be honest, this is absolutely perfect. Despite being down a shield, the opponent's going to get off the Icicle Sphere, which is going to put me on minimal HP. This means when Virizion does return, they're only going to get off one double kick. And we're going to do some decent damage with the Focus Blast. Focus Blast does land, so we maintain alignment. We're down a shield. The opponent's got Aurorus in the back, and things are looking really tough. Aurorus can hit us for heavy neutral damage with the Meteor Beam. Sonic the Hedgehog tanks it on the chin. The opponent's got 2 shields. Obviously, I'm going to pay, but hashtag there's no baits on this channel. Drill Run does land. As the opponent's still got 2 shields, I don't throw a charge move. I think the fast move beatdown is going to be the win con. The opponent fires off one more Meteor Beam. In comes Dragonite. We farm down. Back out comes Virizion. At this stage, the opponent isn't going to be able to bait me and land a Stone Edge. I think this is a safe shield. The opponent does go for the bait, but this is only another Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword is resisted. Dragonite shrugs it off, and we Dragon Breath farm down and take that game. In the next battle, we see Obstagoon. So I play this exactly the same as the Scrafty matchup. I tank the first Night Slash. I'm then going to look to CMP tie to the second Night Slash and throw the Superpower. If the game doesn't lag, of course. So I look to throw on the CMP. This time we don't lag. We get the CMP Superpower, double super effective, does secure the knockout. I'm going to spam out into Registeel. The opponent's got a Nidoqueen. This isn't actually as bad for Registeel as you would think, as we do resist the poison jabs. Earth Power does land for a lot of super effective damage. However, Shadow Reggie hits so hard. This resisted Focus Blast has a solid bit of chip damage, and Registeel is going to outpace the Focus Blast number 2. This won't knock out, but will leave Nidoqueen into the red. The opponent gives me a shield, and I'm just going to allow Reggie to go down. The opponent needs the Earth Power to take me out, and they full send it. As they've got the counter user in the lead, Sandslash should be pretty good against whatever's in the back. I come into Sandslash. The opponent is going to catch an Ice Punch. I think I should have paused the turn. However, they catch on Cresselia, so Sandslash looking primed to sweep, especially up 2 shields. The opponent farming up a boatload of energy. I look to catch on the Dragonite. The opponent doesn't throw, so we're going to get off the Dragon Claw for some chip damage. The opponent isn't going to be able to Psycho Cut farm us down. I'm just going to save 2 shields for Sandslash. The opponent throws the Moonblast. Moonblast does secure the knockout. I've got no idea why the opponent hasn't top left. I'm just going to commit to a Shadow Claw farm down. The opponent throws the Moonblast. That doesn't do enough damage. We get the Shadow Claw farm down. Back out comes Nidoqueen. If they want to get the Ice Punch to the face, they can have it. First one, draws the shield. I could have thrown the Drill Run, but either move is going to be enough to secure the knockout. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see the battle of the Shadow Glass Cannons. Dragonite generally wins CMP unless the opponent's got something like a 14 or 15 attack. If they've both got PvP IVs, Dragonite does win by around 2 or 3 attack stats. We throw on the CMP tie. The opponent does commit a shield, so I'm going to shield in return. The opponent full sends the Rock Slide, which will allow me to get the Dragon Breath farm down. The opponent must be double weak. They send out Giratina. Big yikes. So they actually triple weak to Dragonite. I throw the Dragon Claw, pivot out into the big tin can. As this Giratina is on Dragon Breath, both my steel types are going to be pretty good here. Registeel obviously doesn't have the best matchup against Giratina, however the Dragon Breath variant is objectively better. The opponent continuing to stay in, they actually shield up a Zap Cannon. What the heck is in the back? I've got no intentions of shielding up anything here. The opponent goes for a Dragon Claw, and I think that actually healed me. The opponent still staying in. They're going to throw off one more charge move. Come on, trainer. Another Dragon Claw. Registeel still pretty healthy. We're going to get off one more Zap Cannon. If Switch Timer does pop up, I'm just going to pivot out into Sandslash. The opponent's got Drapion in the back. We both pivoted at the same time. The opponent is going to outpace to the crunch. You never want to shield the first. I am going to throw the Drill Run. Drill Run going to land for some heavy super effective damage, leaving Drapion deep in the red. The opponent continuing to overfarm. However, there is no win con. Ice Punch secures the knockout. And that will be rounding off the buffed Shadow Alolan Sandslash showcase. So would I recommend Shadow Alolan Sandslash? As you can see, it's an absolute monster in this meta. It does core break a lot of teams, but it does have 2 double weaknesses. You need to build a team comp with that in mind. I was using Dragonite to obviously counter the fighters and the fire types that Sandslash didn't want to see, and I was using Registeel to try and bait out that counter. So I think something like an ABB strategy is the way to go. However, I don't think Registeel, especially in his shadow form, is the best safe switch. I think if you've got a PvP IV, normal Reggie, that would be objectively better, or something like a Stunfisk or Cobalion would be an upgrade to even that. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you'd like your battles featured on the channel, link to our battle submission form is down below. And speaking of featured battles, we're in the early weeks of the season. I really don't care about my elo. So if there's any shadow Pokemon you'd like to see, if I've got the resources, I'll put it to work. So post down below anything you want to see and I'll try and make that video. So as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.